to be real.
Yes, guys, what's going on? I hope you're all good. Okay, so we're talking about Kid Galahad today. I saw him fight today. I wanted to see Atif Shafiq fight. I didn't unfortunately get to see that fight. But I saw the Kid Galahad fight. Atif Shafiq, I heard he won. So congratulations to him. I've seen him fight, and let's just talk a little bit about Atif Shafiq first before we go into Kid Galahad. Atif Shafiq, he's a fighter from the Ingle camp as well. He's a boxer and a mover more than a brawler and a puncher, and he's got a bit of decent skill. I'm waiting to see what he's like, but from the looks of things, Atif Shafiq is looking really good with a lot of movement. I've seen a few of his fights, and he does look like a good fighter coming from local ends. We'll have to wait and see as he stiffens up the competition. And in my opinion, is this right? If you can beat lower quality opposition in very good fashion, then that's all good. But as soon as you start struggling against the lower quality opposition, like Adil Anwar got knocked out the other day, and I really like Adil Anwar, and I've got nothing bad to say about him. I don't want to talk bad about Adil Anwar. I've met the guy 2-3 times, and he's a really down to earth person. So I really like Adil Anwar. But the point is that on the world class level, Adil Anwar can't make it, and that's the bottom line. It's just how it goes. He's had a few losses in his resume now. And Adil Anwar, he was looking really good and he looked the part and everything. But when he was struggling against Dale Miles and he struggled against a few opponents before he went against, I think it was Darren Hamilton for the British title, and he struggled against him, and he lost against him. So I believe it was Darren Hamilton. But yeah, anyway, and then he's got knocked out in the second round. So world class, it's questionable. But Adil Anwar, again, I've got nothing bad to say about him, and I respect him as a person, and I hope he does very well in life. But moving on to Atif Shafiq, we're talking. I haven't really seen too much of Atif Shafiq, but I have seen his fights, and I do think he's a good boxer. But we're gonna have to see as he stiffens up the competition how he does. So yeah, Atif Shafiq, check him out. Now Kid Galahad, another fighter he's from Yemeni in descent. He's from the Ingle camp. Scott Quigg, and them boys. What's the other lad's name? The British fighter. I forget his name, but is it Joshua Clotty? Is it? I can't remember. But yeah, super bantamweight fighter Kid Galahad, and what impressed me in the last fight about Kid Galahad is he reminded me a lot of Paulie Malignaggi in the style that he fights. Except Kid Galahad, he's able to switch from southpaw to orthodox, unlike pretty much any fighter I've seen, and there's very few fighters who can do that switch so easily as Kid Galahad does it. Barry Awad, I believe his name is. So I'm very impressed. And the person he fought today has only one loss, one draw on his record. He's got quite a number of I think it's 15 or 16 wins he had. Just what I mean. I'm sorry if I'm wrong about anything, but I'm just talking like from what I've looked at. And Kid Galahad to me looks like he could be world champion material. Because here's the thing with Kid Galahad, considering he's a UK British fighter, he has a lot of skill, and that's not knocking British fighters. Because the thing is, when you compare American and British boxing science, right, the sweet science we're talking, you've got to recognise that America is better in terms of the sweet science and in terms of the science of boxing. Do you know what I mean? The IQ level of the boxers over there is better, because British level fighters, for some reason, I don't know why, but it's everything work off the jab, work off the jab, work off the jab, and that's all they do, which is good. It's good to work off the jab, but there's other aspects to boxing, like the lead right, there's a left hook to the body, there's a jab to the body, crouching low, fighting on the inside, and this is somewhere where in British fighters you don't see much inside fighting, and it's always everything off the jab, and that's, jab, jab, cross, and that's pretty much where boxing sticks to in Britain, and it doesn't really pass that whether you're on the A world class level or you're on the, local level, apart from fighters like George Groves and that. You look at pretty much the bulk of the fighters, the style is very, very similar, and there's no shoulder roll, there's not many different styles in the UK, and America are clocking it on that scene, and we've got as British, because I'm British, right? Kid Galahad, he was born in Yemen, I believe, but he's British now. He's been here for a number of years fighting for UK, but British boxing fans have to take this on the chin that British fighters in the amateurs, I don't know if it's to do with the amateurs or the professional ranks, but in terms of professional boxing, Britain's boxers lack, and they carry the amateur style into the pro ranks. and they stand up straight and they get caught flush standing up, and they don't crouch and bob and weave enough. Do you know what I mean? And this is the problem where Kid Galahad is he's abnormal in that sense. He's not like that. His style of boxing is totally different, and you only get these type of fighters coming from where? Coming from the Ingle camp. The Ingle camp are the only camp. The reason I believe they're so successful is because they're pretty much the only camp who teach how to be unorthodox. If you look at Prince Nassim Hamid, who came out of that camp, he's very unorthodox. Kell Brook, for me, I don't understand why he is so. He continues to be a British level fighter, and from the style I've seen, he's not unorthodox. And any fighter that's become great, pretty much all of them have been slightly different in the way they fight. Very few of them have been straight jab jab cross punches. Do you know what I mean? You have to change and become something different. You look at all, especially nowadays. I mean, look at Mayweather, Andre Ward, even Pacquiao. The styles that they're fighting is very different. Do you know what I mean? Um, and these are the world class, A class fighters. Marquez, do you know what I mean? These are the world class welterweight fighters, and you don't see that much in Britain. People, fighters who use that shoulder roll. And I taught that show because you can't just use a shoulder roll, because anyone can use a shoulder roll. It's used utilizing effectively. In my opinion, Kid Galahad, he really fights in a style that is very different, and this is something Prince Nassim Hamid had. I think was it Harold Bomber Graham? I think he had a very different style as well. So yeah, I think that Kid Galahad, he's gonna go very far because of his very unusual for Britain boxing style. And I think of the super bantamweight division, the two main top dogs are from Britain as well. So I think he's gonna do quite well, and it's not just based on that. I think it's the fashion that he's beating the opposition that he's facing in. He's not losing rounds. He's boxing the shit out of him. He showed strength today. He reminds me of Paulie Malignaggi, whichever way you swing it. He reminds me of Paulie, but today he showed a bit more power. Maybe it was the opponent he was facing. I would like to see him up against some stiffer competition. When he faces the stiffer competition, we're going to know where Kid Galahad stands. Can he be world champion? I believe he can. I think he's very good. He trains very, very hard. I've seen his training. He trains fucking like a dog. So, in terms of his training, that's number one. You've got to be a hard, dedicated trainer, and that's, in my opinion, 50% of the battle. And again, this is where the British fighters lack, because I don't know how Kid Galahad does when he's not in training camps, but he's very fit and very healthy. Whereas people like, I think it was it Andy Lee or someone who faced Devon Alexander? I forget the fighter's name, but when he faced Devon Alexander, he was out of shape. I mean, a boxer, in my opinion, should be in shape. Even if you're getting like 2 to 3 weeks notice, you should always be in shape. I mean, why would you not be? Do you know what I mean? Why would you not be in shape if this is your living and you want to become top dog in the sport? Why would you not always be in shape? I mean, what is the difference between? I mean, is Kell Brook or I'm not knocking Kell Brook here. I'm just saying, like, Kell Brook's not that bad actually. It's I think it's other fighters. I'm trying to think at the top of my head. Someone like, I don't know, I'm just name like George Groves, for example. I don't know if he stays in shape, but what's the difference between George Groves and Floyd Mayweather Jr.? Do you know what I mean? If anything, Floyd Mayweather Jr. shouldn't be training year round, whereas George Groves should. And that's not a knock on George Groves, but I'm just saying that if he's as hungry as Floyd Mayweather, he'd be on top. Do you know what I mean? He'd do better than what he's doing. But because he's not constantly in the gym, because he doesn't train as hard as Floyd Mayweather Jr. I know that for a fact. He doesn't train as hard as Mayweather Jr. Nobody does. Do you know what I mean? And that's not a knock on George Groves. It's just how it goes. So if you want it bad enough, I think you have to be in shape year around. And I think this is a problem we've got. And this guy, Kid Galahad, Barry, he trains really, really, really hard, and it sets him apart. And I think, honestly, that's most of the battle. So let me know what you guys think. What do you think of this guy? Do you think he's a good fighter? He got a TKO stoppage today. I think he's a good fighter, but we're gonna have to see him up against stiffer competition. I like him. A little bit more brash talking would be pretty cool though. I'd like him to talk a little bit more shit. Or if not a bit more shit, just be a little bit more charismatic. He's a bit quiet at the moment. I think maybe he'll open up at a later date, but he needs to be a little bit more charismatic. Coming from the Ingle camp, you should be charismatic. So yeah, I'm really impressed with Kid Galahad overall. His performance, I like to see him stiffen it up again in the competition. If I've got anything wrong, forgive me. Right? Let me know what you think. Comment in the section below. Subscribe as always. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. My old one is inactive in a bit, guys.